Cambridge. I'm Paul Browne and I'm a chair of Cambridge Stays, and we've been campaigning for the last 3 years to stop Brexit. And I've got a question for you. Are you outraged at Boris Johnson's actions this week?
Yes!
Are you outraged at the damage that a no-deal Brexit would inflict on this country and our neighbours?
Yes!
No phony outrage here, Jacob Rees-Mogg! Now, I've got another question. Does anyone here actually believe that Boris Johnson really wants a deal with the EU?
No!
Of course he doesn't, because he's got a cabinet of hard Brexiteers who actually want a no deal. It suits their purposes. Who here has heard of 55 Tufton Street?
Yes!
A few. Well, actually, I'll say other questions. Who here has heard of the Taxpayers Alliance?
Yes!
Who here has heard the Global Warming Research Institute?
Yes!
Leave means leave.
Yes!
There's a dozen or more organisations, the Institute for Economic Affairs being another well-known think tank, in inverted commas, and they are all working together, and a no-deal Brexit is what they want, it's what they've always wanted, it's what suits them. They know a no-deal Brexit will be damaging, they know it will cause chaos, they know people will lose their jobs. They want that, because that will give them the cover to introduce their plans to erode workers' rights, erode environmental protections, to rip up the NHS, to sell off our public services, to cut taxes, to give all their big business friends, their various banker friends, tax breaks. And they know that this will damage the UK. They know that it will damage our industries. Their favourite economic advisor, Patrick Minford, said that we will need to run down manufacturing the same way that we ran down the coal and steel industries. And the same applies to agriculture. So I ask you, do you want your future to be one of fewer rights, a degraded environment and less opportunities?
No!
Do you want to stop Brexit?
Yes!
What do you want? I think we need more unity in this response. But this isn't just about the UK, as we heard from the last speaker. This is about the wider world. We see around the world, we see Trump, we see Bolsonaro, we see Putin, we see them and their allies seeking to undermine the international institutions, undermine international cooperation that we need if we're to tackle the climate emergency, that we need if we're to ensure that the big corporations, the multinationals, pay their fair share of tax. The institutions we need to spread and strengthen human rights, which in too many countries are now being eroded. And they already have done a lot of damage. The UN seems toothless. The G7 we saw last week seemed to be a farce. But it's the EU that's really in their sights, because the EU isn't perfect. I think the EU could do a lot more than it does, but it has shown that it has the will, it has the clout to actually stand up for environmental protections, to pass laws, to close down tax avoidance and tax havens, to pass laws to make the big social media companies and other tech giants pay their fair share of tax. And that is what the Jacob Rees-Moggs of this world are up against. And that is why they want to destroy the EU. And if you've seen the question of the backstop in Northern Ireland, that's what this is all about. Boris Johnson says, we won't have any checks on our side of the border. If the EU and Ireland want to put them there, that's their problem. They know, they are trying to get the EU to choose between this integrity of the single market that is so important to the EU and to be portrayed as being the cause of any chaos in Northern Ireland. But does anybody think that anyone in Ireland is fooled by this?
No!
Does anybody think that anybody in the EU is fooled by this?
No!
Are you fooled by this?
No!
That's exactly it. This fools nobody. It's transparent. And what we have to do is stand together. So we're here. I can see just by the banners on display, we're from many different positions, different parties. We've all made mistakes. There's nobody's hands are clean in creating the mistakes that led to this situation we're in, but we must work together to solve it. We now have one enemy. It's the same enemy. And over the next week, we will not just have to be here in Cambridge. We have to get down to London on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on subsequent days to protest again outside Parliament, in Whitehall, outside Downing Street, to support our MPs and tell them that when they stand up, it's not the people versus Parliament, it's people and Parliament versus the coup. So I ask you to unite and stop Brexit, stop the coup, stop Brexit, stop the coup, stop Brexit, stop the coup, stop Brexit, stop the coup. Thank you.